The bright studio lights shone down on the two men sitting across from each other, the air thick with tension. Millions were watching live. Elon Musk, the tech billionaire known for his sharp tongue and quick wit, was poised to make his mark. Opposite him sat Captain Ibrahim Traoré, a calm, resolute man, his military jacket neat, eyes steady, and filled with quiet strength. Nobody expected what was about to happen. Elon had prepared his words carefully. He wanted to shake Ibrahim's confidence, to make the world doubt him. He leaned forward, voice dripping with contempt, and with a sharp edge said, "You're a psycho." The words cut through the studio silence like a knife. Ibrahim's heart pounded, but he did not flinch. Deep inside, he knew this was more than just a battle of words. This was a fight for respect, for the truth. The cameras zoomed in, waiting for his reaction. Would he break, or would he stand tall? The studio was frozen. The audience held their breath. Elon's words hung in the air, loud and unforgiving. A few viewers at home gasped, others whispered doubts. Social media was already buzzing, ready to spread the insult like wildfire. But Ibrahim remained still, his face calm. No anger, no shout, just a quiet, deep breath. He looked Elon in the eye, steady, unwavering. Then, softly but with power, Ibrahim spoke. "You call me a psycho because you fear what I stand for. But let me be clear. My fight is not for me. It's for millions who cannot speak, who live in fear, who dream of freedom." His voice did not shake. It carried truth. Elon's smug smile faded. The studio, once tense, now felt something else. A shift. People felt it too, watching from their homes. Something big was happening. Ibrahim's words filled the studio, wrapping around the crowd like a warm blanket on a cold night. "I have seen pain," he said softly. "I have seen families torn apart by injustice. When you label me a psycho, you dismiss their stories. But I carry their voices, and I will not be silenced." For a moment, the cameras caught the hint of tears in Ibrahim's eyes. Tears not of weakness, but of fierce compassion. Elon's face tightened, his usual confidence shaken. Millions watching felt a lump rise in their throats. Here was a man who didn't just fight for himself, but for the suffering and hopes of many. His strength wasn't loud or angry, it was quiet, honest, and full of heart. The story had only just begun, but already something inside viewers was changing. They saw Ibrahim not as a target of insults, but as a hero. The moment Elon Musk uttered the word psycho, millions of viewers around the world paused. Phones were set down, jaws dropped, and fingers hovered over keyboards, ready to tweet, comment, or share. In the sleek TV studio, the tension was so thick it felt like you could cut it with a knife. Cameramen held their breath. The hosts exchanged uneasy glances. No one expected a man like Elon to stoop to personal insults on live television. But Ibrahim? He stayed perfectly still. His eyes locked on Elon, not with fear, but with quiet fire. This wasn't just a clash of opinions. It was a battle for dignity, a test of character. Millions at home felt their hearts race. Would Ibrahim crack? Or would he prove the strength that millions had begun to see in him? Social media exploded with hashtags like Ibrahim Strong and Sark Psycho Clapback as the world waited for the moment that could change everything. Behind the calm exterior, Ibrahim carried a heavy burden. Years of watching his country suffer under corruption, injustice, and fear had shaped him into the man he was. Every insult, every threat, was a reminder of the battles fought silently by those who had no voice. As he sat there, preparing to respond, memories flooded his mind. The faces of children who slept hungry, mothers who cried for their lost sons, and communities trapped in hopelessness. He wasn't just defending himself, he was standing for them. The studio lights reflected off his eyes, strong, steady, and filled with sorrow and hope. This moment was bigger than a TV argument. It was the voice of millions, carried by one man who refused to be broken. Ibrahim took a slow, deep breath. The entire studio seemed to quiet down, waiting. Elon's confident smirk began to fade as he sensed the shift. This wasn't going to be a simple rebuttal. Ibrahim's voice, calm but powerful, broke the silence. If standing up for truth makes me a psycho, then so be it, because I would rather be called many things than watch my people suffer in silence. The words hit like a thunderclap. The studio fell completely silent, stunned by the honesty and strength behind them. Elon's eyes widened, speechless for the first time in the entire broadcast. The viewers felt it too. This wasn't just a fight. It was a declaration, a moment that would echo far beyond the TV screen. The camera stayed locked on Ibrahim's calm face as the seconds stretched longer than anyone expected. It felt like time slowed down inside the studio. Elon's eyes darted, searching for a comeback, but found only silence. Outside the studio, millions held their breath. Social media exploded with disbelief and awe. The hashtag #CheckIbrahimClapback trended worldwide in minutes. For many, Ibrahim was no longer just a name on the news. He became a symbol, a voice for the unheard, the oppressed. Yet behind that calm exterior was a man who knew every word he spoke carried the weight of history and hope. His mind briefly flashed back to a quiet village far from the spotlight, where families struggled each day just to survive. This was why he couldn't afford to lose this fight, not just for himself, but for them. Elon finally broke the silence, his voice low but strained. "You think your words can change anything? The world isn't so simple." Ibrahim looked at him with unwavering eyes. Maybe not, but sometimes a single truth can start a revolution. The studio felt the impact of those words, not as a shout or an insult, but as a steady flame that grew stronger by the second. Viewers at home felt something stir inside them, a mixture of hope, sadness, and fierce pride. Ibrahim wasn't just debating. He was giving a voice to millions who had been silenced. For a moment, the world saw not a clash between two men, but a battle for the soul of a people. As the interview continued, it became clear that Ibrahim's strength wasn't in loud words or anger. It was in his steady belief in justice. His calm answers revealed a man shaped by real struggles, by real losses. People started to share their own stories of hope, of fight, of survival. Slowly, the narrative was shifting. Elon's insult was no longer the headline. Ibrahim's courage was. Millions watched again and again, each replay revealing more of the quiet power behind the man who refused to be broken. The world was beginning to see Ibrahim Traoré, not as a psycho, but as a true leader. As the cameras panned close, viewers saw something deeper in Ibrahim's eyes. Stories of a lifetime spent fighting for his people. The struggles, the sacrifices, the silent tears of families who lost everything. He wasn't just a man defending himself. He was carrying the weight of an entire nation's hope. Elon Musk's sharp words couldn't touch the kindness and strength that shone in Ibrahim's gaze. Millions watching felt a lump rise in their throat, imagining the faces behind those eyes. The mothers, the children, the elderly, all relying on this quiet hero. The studio remained silent, but the world was far from silent. Comments poured in on every platform. "He speaks for us. A true leader. I'm crying because this is real." For the first time, many saw Ibrahim not as a controversial figure, but as a beacon of light shining through darkness. Suddenly, Ibrahim's voice broke through the quiet, like a steady flame in the night. "You call me a psycho because you fear what I stand for. The truth," he said calmly. "But the real madness is ignoring the pain of millions." The studio gasped. Even Elon faltered, caught off guard by the raw honesty. Millions watched the clip replayed endlessly. This wasn't just a response. It was a declaration, a moment that would be remembered for years. Viewers felt something shift inside them, a call to care, to listen, to stand with those who suffer. In that moment, Ibrahim was no longer just a man on TV. He was a voice for the voiceless, a symbol of resilience and hope. Elon tried to interrupt, but Ibrahim held up a hand, stopping him gently but firmly. "Listen closely," Ibrahim said, "because sometimes silence is louder than words." The studio went still again, but this time, it was a silence full of respect and reflection. Millions felt the weight of those words. They weren't empty. They were full of meaning. People everywhere paused their lives to think about what had been said, what had been shown. It wasn't about winning a debate anymore. It was about waking up to the realities many ignored. And in that silence, the world saw Ibrahim Traoré, strong, humble, and unbreakable. The studio lights flickered softly as Ibrahim Traoré's calm voice cut through the tension like a beacon in a storm. His words were steady, carrying a quiet power that unsettled even Elon Musk. "I do not come here to fight with anger," Ibrahim said. "My mission is to bring hope to those who have none, to speak for those whose voices have been silenced for too long." Millions watching felt a strange mix of sadness and inspiration. Ibrahim's calm was not weakness. It was a shield forged from years of pain and perseverance. In that moment, viewers saw a man who carried the weight of countless stories on his shoulders. A man whose silence before had been a preparation for a powerful truth. Elon's confident facade showed cracks as he struggled to respond. The world was beginning to see a new kind of strength. One rooted in courage, not noise. Behind Ibrahim's calm exterior was a life marked by sacrifice and loss. Every word he spoke was shaped by real struggles, of communities fighting for survival, of children dreaming of peace. His childhood memories were not of luxury or ease, but of hardship and resilience. Those experiences taught him that true power comes not from wealth or fame, but from standing firm in the face of injustice. As he sat across from Elon Musk, Ibrahim's heart carried the hopes of millions who believed in change. He knew this moment wasn't just about defending himself, it was about defending their future. Millions at home felt a deep connection growing, a quiet respect that slowly turned into admiration. This was a man who refused to be broken, even when called a psycho on live TV. Suddenly, Ibrahim's voice grew stronger, more determined. "You call me a psycho," he said, "but what is truly mad is to ignore the cries of the suffering, to turn away when justice is needed most." The studio fell into stunned silence. Even Elon Musk was caught off guard, his mouth slightly open, words lost. Viewers around the world held their breath. This was no ordinary comeback. It was a moment that demanded reflection. Ibrahim wasn't just responding to an insult, he was challenging the world to open its eyes. For millions, this was the turning point, the moment they stopped seeing him as a target and started seeing him as a leader. The story was far from over, but the tide was shifting. Behind the calm face of Ibrahim Traoré was a constant unseen battle. Years of fighting corruption, injustice, and fear had worn on him in ways few could understand. Yet on live TV, he appeared unshakable. Millions watching felt the strength that comes from pain transformed into purpose. Ibrahim wasn't just fighting Elon Musk. He was fighting for every mother who cried for her lost child, for every family torn apart by greed and neglect. His silence before speaking wasn't emptiness. It was the calm of a storm gathering power. And when he finally spoke, his words carried the force of every battle he'd ever fought. Ibrahim's voice grew steady and clear. "I speak not for myself, but for those who have been forgotten, for those whose stories never make headlines." The studio felt the weight of his declaration, not just a man, but a movement. Millions watching were moved. some to tears, some to reflection. This was more than a TV interview. It was a moment of truth. People began to see Ibrahim not as a controversial figure, but as a beacon of hope, a true leader standing tall amid chaos. The world was listening. After Ibrahim's powerful words, silence filled the studio. Even Elon Musk, known for his quick comebacks, had no reply. That silence spoke volumes. Viewers around the world paused, feeling the gravity of the moment. It was a silence born from respect, from awe. Millions shared the clip again and again, feeling their hearts swell with hope and pride. In that quiet, Ibrahim Traoré became more than a man. He became a symbol of resilience, courage, and the power of truth. As Ibrahim spoke, the weight of every word was felt not just in the studio, but around the world. His voice was calm, but carried the pain of countless unseen battles fought in the hearts of those who suffer. Millions watching began to understand this was more than a debate. It was a moment of truth. Ibrahim's words reminded them of the mothers who waited for their children to come home, of villages struggling for clean water and safety. Elon Musk's insult meant to undermine only highlighted Ibrahim's unwavering strength. For those watching, tears began to well, not from sadness alone, but from hope. Hope that one man's courage could shine a light on darkness. The story was no longer about conflict. It was about courage. The studio was tense. Elon tried to regain control, but Ibrahim's calm presence filled the room like a wave. "You call me a psycho," Ibrahim said softly. "But the real madness is ignoring the cries of the suffering." The simplicity of his words hit harder than any insult. Millions felt the truth in them. Comments flooded social media. "He's the voice of the voiceless. True strength is silent courage. I'm crying because this is real." Ibrahim's courage wasn't loud or aggressive. It was steady and full of heart. That day, he showed the world that true power comes from compassion and conviction. As the interview neared its end, the world watched in stunned silence. Ibrahim's epic clapback had left Elon speechless, and the studio breathless. Millions replayed the moment, over and over, feeling the weight of its meaning. This wasn't just a viral clip. It was a turning point. People everywhere began to see Ibrahim not as a target of insult, but as a true leader, a man who stood tall in the face of disrespect and fought for something greater. The story was far from over, but one thing was clear. Ibrahim Traoré had changed the conversation forever. The studio was silent, heavy with the weight of what had just happened. Ibrahim Traoré sat composed, yet inside his heart beat fiercely, not with anger but with a quiet pride. He had faced a powerful man's insult on live television, and responded not with rage, but with truth. Millions around the world felt the impact, their hearts swelling with emotion. This wasn't just a debate anymore. It was a turning point for millions who had been ignored and dismissed for too long. Elon Musk's silence spoke volumes. He had been unprepared for the strength of a man whose courage came from his people's suffering and hope. As the cameras faded, Ibrahim's words echoed beyond the studio walls. "When you call me a psycho, you reveal your fear, but I am the voice of millions who refuse to be silenced." Within hours, the clip had exploded across social media. Millions shared it, watched it, and cried with it. This wasn't just a viral sensation. It was a story of resilience, hope, and unshakable courage. Viewers didn't just see a man defending himself. They saw a hero standing tall for justice. Thousands sent messages of thanks, sharing their own stories of struggle and hope. Ibrahim Traoré had become more than a name. He had become a symbol of strength that comes from kindness, patience, and unwavering belief in a better tomorrow. Now, dear viewer, If this story moved you, if it touched something deep inside your heart, don't let it end here. Like this video to show your support. Subscribe to the channel for more stories that reveal true courage and inspire real change. And please, drop a comment below. Share how Ibrahim's story made you feel. Your words might inspire someone else today. Together, we can keep this powerful message alive. Together, we can stand for truth, hope, and strength. Thank you for watching. Remember, true heroes aren't always loud. They are those who speak with courage when it matters most.